it was during the night. I was in my bed sitting there, and where my bedroom was at, the bed was sitting, you could see like the window in the living room, and it was a big window. And I was sitting there and I was reading, and I thought I seen something out the window, and I had some bags of trash behind the camper, and now there was dogs around there and around the neighborhood, run around, and they never bothered that trash, never once. None of them did. And I happened to see something move outside the window, and I thought, what is that? And I got up, and I kind of tiptoed to the window because I didn't know what it was at first. And when I looked out, I saw something like running in the backyard towards the little creek. And there was one big tree there on the bank. And it turned around and it looked back, and it was on two legs, and it was hairy, and it was kind of a reddish brown, and it looked like it had to be anywhere between 8 to 10 feet tall. And I thought at first, am I imagining things, And so I had told my friends, and they said, well, sure it wasn't a bear? And I said, bears don't run on their hind legs. And I said, they're not fuzzy, fuzzy like that, long-haired. And it looked back towards the camper. And then my friend asked me, said, were you dreaming? I said, no, I was awake. I said, I was reading a book. And she thought maybe I was reading a paranormal book and got scared. And I said, no, it wasn't a paranormal book. I said, it was a book on serial killers, through history. And I said, that's what I was reading. And I said, I just happened to look out and see something out that where the blind was broke. And like your wife asked, she said, when it looked around, I said, it wasn't a bear. And I said, and it sure wasn't human. And I, didn't know at the time that, there'd been sightings in the Red River Gorge, and I knew I wasn't really that far from there. I didn't know about them until I started seeing things on Terror in the Woods and all that stuff. And I said, I know I was not seeing things. I said, because it was really big, and I said, hairy, and I said, it was not a bear. And the next morning, there was one bag of trash had a hole in it, and there was only 2 pieces of paper, trash took out of the bag. One, I think, might have had turkey in it at one time, and I think the other one was a bologna paper or something. And I said, all that time, them dogs around there had never once bothered that trash. And I said, it wasn't a dog, and it wasn't a bear. I said, because bears do not run on their hind legs. Yeah. And
was there any lighting? Was there a light outside?
Well, it was bright that night because I remember the moon was shining. Now there was like one of them outside lights in the front yard, but there wasn't one in the back. And I remember also the dogs there was another road that was behind where I lived on the other side of that little creek. Those dogs, I remember hearing them cutting a shine because they run out a lot too. And I remember hearing them cutting a shine that night. And I kind of, after that, I, in a way, kind of got scared. And I was, for a couple of nights there, I didn't want to open no blinds. I mean, I was afraid something would look through the blinds. And I had a pet rat, and his cage was up in front of one of the windows in one of the other bedroom that I had him in. And I got to where I was closing blinds. I thought, what if something tries to break through that window and steal my rat, because it kind of scared me, And I told my friend and her grandson, I said, I know I was not seeing things. And I said, I was not reading nothing, because I listen to a lot of paranormal stuff on like on YouTube. Like I mostly listen to Dogman stuff, you know, and I'm not really never frightened when I listen to it. But now that here lately, letting my little dog out of and out where I live now, he a couple of times he has went out, and I don't know what he's seeing over in another field across the road where we live now, but he has a look of fear on his face. And, I mean, he don't growl or anything. And I've gotten where I'm almost afraid to let him out of the night, thinking there might be something around where I'm at now. But what I saw that night, like I said, it was big, and it was running on hind legs. And at the time, I didn't know Red River Gorge, you know, had sightings, and that, you know, it was close to where I lived. And, you know, I mean, to me, I guess one could have traveled, you know, from there up through there or something. Yeah. I mean, you know.
Yeah. How far away was it from you?
From where I seen it, now as far as saying how many feet, I couldn't tell you because I'm not very good at that. I mean, the backyard wasn't real, I mean, really big, but it wasn't far away to where I couldn't, you know, see that the color of it and how tall it was, and that, you know, it was long, you know, it was long-haired, and like I said, the color of it. So it really wasn't, you know, that far. And I know the face, you know, the face didn't have, when it looked around, it didn't have no hair on its face, you know. And so, you know, it really wasn't that far away. And how many, you know, maybe say how many feet away, that I couldn't tell you. But like I said, you know, it wasn't far enough away that I couldn't tell, you know, what color it was and like that. Yeah.
Can you describe the physical shape of it?
Well, like, besides being tall, it was pretty big as far as its size. Yeah, like, I guess you consider it huge. I mean,
yeah.
You know, it wasn't a small one, you know, like that. It was very big.
What about the shape of its, like the head, the shoulders, the arms? Anything you can describe about the way it looked? Well,
I remember the arms, you know, were long, and its head was kind of like, wasn't, you know, shaped like ours. It was kind of like shaped where they got like those. It looked like they got that really strange shaped. I don't know what kind of shape you would call that, where their skull would be higher up than ours. It was like that. I mean, not real, you know, way up there, but it was enough to look at it, to, you know, to tell exactly, you know, what it was. But like I said, you know, it had the long arms, and it, you know, its head was shaped, you know, big the way their heads are shaped.
What about the neck or shoulders?
Well, it looked like it had kind of wide shoulders, but as far as the neck, you know, like it looked like it really didn't have much of one.
What about the eyes? Can you see any kind of eye shine?
As far as the eyes, you know, I couldn't tell. I could tell like the shape of his face, and it didn't have no hair. But as far as the eyes, you know, I couldn't tell like color or anything like that.
Yeah. And the hair, you said, was long all over the body?
Yeah. And it was like a reddish brown or brownish red, you know, pretty much you'd say a reddish brown. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you first saw it, what was it doing when you first saw it?
Well, it had time I had gotten up, I like I said, I seen the movements outside the window through that little crack from where she had broke the blind. And I guess by the time I got up and went to the window, because I was still peeping through that slot because I wasn't about to raise the the blind up, in case it maybe was still there or something was still out there. Because, I didn't know if it, it was somebody maybe sneaking around, because I was reading that book, and, you kind of get paranoid when you're reading stuff about serial killers. So I didn't know if somebody was sneaking around or not. But the time I looked out, it had gotten to that where that tree was at, and it had looked back. I guess looked back to see if I was looking at, if somebody's going to look out the window, and it was going towards the creek, that little creek back there, because it's not a very big creek, except for when it floods, but it had gotten to almost the edge of it, and it's not much, of a drop off. You can just pretty much walk down the little bank, and it had turned around and was looking back when I looked out and seen it, and when it looked back, I thought, did I just see what I thought I seen? And it just turned and went on, because I stood up from the window, because I'm standing there trying to think, did I really see that? Did I really see what I thought I saw? And when I looked back, it was gone. So, it probably didn't take much of a stride to get across that creek, that little creek, and up the bank and whatever. And like I said, the dogs was barking on that side of the road. But it was done gone when I looked back, because, like I said, I was shocked. I really didn't know, sure if I saw what I did. And I thought I had to see it, because, like I said, I hadn't been asleep. I wasn't sleepy, tired, or anything like that, because I can sit up and just about read all night long and not get sleepy. So I wasn't tired or anything. So when I looked back out and it was gone, I thought, I know I seen something. I said, I know I've seen it, and I kept thinking, I don't believe it. If I did see it, I can't believe I saw a Bigfoot. And then the next day when my friend and her grandson come over, I had to tell them as soon as they came, because I know they wouldn't laugh at me. I know most people don't believe in stuff like that, and they think you're crazy. And I knew my friend wouldn't think I was crazy. Yeah.
What did she say when you told her?
That's when she first asked me, was you asleep? And I said, no, I was not. And then she asked me if I was reading a ghost book. And I don't get paranoid when I read ghost books. I said, no. I said, I was awake. And I told her what book I was reading. And her grandson said, are you sure that's what you saw? I said, yes. I said, couldn't have been nothing else. And she was shocked as much as I was, but she didn't think I was crazy, because she's into cryptids too, and she listens to stuff too, so I didn't have to worry about her thinking I was, nuts. But it was just, I still think about it. I said, I'm afraid to tell anybody, because I said, I don't think I'm crazy, Yeah.
It's more, but it's more, it's more accepted now. More people are willing to come forward, because there's more research, there's more evidence now than ever before. So I'm very appreciative of you sharing the story. One thing I wanted to ask you was, when it looked back, do you think it was looking at you in the window?
I think it might have, where it was standing outside the window when I said I saw something, move, and knowing that it wasn't a dog, because the dog wouldn't have stood up at the window. But I don't know if it had seen me, maybe that little slit maybe had been over at the trash bag, and it had maybe heard me get up. Which, when I tiptoe, I don't walk. I really don't walk quietly. You can ask my friend. So I don't know if it maybe had heard me, walk across the floor or something, or maybe it might have seen me come to the window, and that's why it looked back. I mean, to see if I was looking out the window at it or something. But like I said, I didn't raise the blind up or anything, because when I first got up to the window before I looked, I was really afraid that, kind of scared. I'm not raising that blind, What if it's standing there when I open that blind and staring right back at me? I don't know if I might have been a little scared, but I probably would have, I don't know. I probably would have kind of been excited to, to actually look out the window and have Bigfoot looking back at me, but, because I probably would have pretty much scared him as much as he would have scared me, I guess, I don't know. But I think that might have been the reason maybe it looked back thinking that somebody was going to look out the window at it or something, I don't know.
And so again, you were in a camper. You were laying in bed.
Yes.
You saw something out the crack of the blind. You got up out of bed. How far did you walk until you got to the window?
It wasn't very far. The bedroom wasn't. I could take maybe, let's think, one or 1.5 steps to the living room, because it was a 2-bedroom camper, but it was small, and my bedroom door come right out into the living room, because there was a part of a couch that was sitting there under the window, and because I got on that piece of that couch on my knees when I looked through, because the piece was broken off down at the bottom of the blind, and now, my cat, before I looked out and saw something, she had been looking out the window, but she must not have seen anything, because she wasn't acting, scared or anything. So when she had been looking out the window, it must not have been there. Or, she didn't act like she was scared or anything. So it must not have been there when she was looking out the window. But
so
it was...
Again, you looked through the blinds. You
yes.
Opened them and looked a little bit through the blind.
Yeah, because she had just broke one piece off on the edge, like how those blinds are where they open. She had broke on the right side of the blind. She broke that piece off, because it didn't go all the way over the edge of the window. So where she had broke off, there was enough room to look out. You could, if you bet, where I was sitting on the bed, you could still see through it. And that's where I seen it, because I seen the movement outside of it. And but there was enough, the piece broke off where she had broke it, to be able, when I got on my knees to look through the little crack in the blind, I could see out real good. Yeah. And like I said, that's when I seen him running towards the creek. So,
when he said he was running, describe what you mean. Describe what you mean by running. How was it running?
It was running like big steps, like where they run like with, what is it called where they run like the gates, where they do the way they run with their legs. It was like I said, it was like I said, it was kind of weird. He didn't have much of a step to get to where the creek was at, and where they are, they're not going to take much time. It ain't going to take no time for him to get from where the camper was to the little creek. Like I said, he stopped at that tree, and he looked back, and then I raised up, because, like I said, I was shocked. And when I looked back, nothing was out there. And that's why I first thought.
Yeah. When you said he looked back, how did he look back?
He just kind of he kind of turned his body just not all the way around, but like just a little bit, and kind of turned his head a little bit around to where he could, like, it didn't look like he was looking straight at the window, but he was looking back towards the camper. And so he didn't turn all the way around.
Yeah, I see. And then how do you know how tall it was? Because you're estimating it pretty big. Bigfoots do get that large, but how did you come up with that height, that number?
Well, I know the tree where I saw it at. The limbs on the tree, from where his head was at, the lowest limb, pretty much I wouldn't have been able to reach it. Yeah.
So you're just kind of guessing the height, right? It sounds like.
Yeah, because I didn't. He was tall, and like I said, the lowest limb, I couldn't have reached it. Standing even on my tiptoes. So I would. That's what I was saying. He might have been about that height.
I see. I understand. That's exciting. Did you have a light on inside the camper?
I had the kitchen light. There was a little kitchen light that was under above the sink, and then I had the bedroom light on. And I can't remember if I had the television going, because a lot of times when I go in there and read, I would, especially when reading those one books about them serial killers, I would sometimes leave the TV on so that I could at least hear the TV in the other room. And I can't remember if I had the TV on that night or not, but I did have the bedroom light on because I don't think I had a lamp in the bedroom. I don't remember because I didn't have nowhere to set it. But I did have the ceiling light on, and then the one little light that was in the kitchen, because I usually left it on of a night in case I had to go to the bathroom or something. Because the camper had sliding doors, even though they had blinds, overhead. But I'd always leave that light on in case I had to go to the bathroom. But the only big light, on that was in the whole camper was the bedroom light.
Yeah. It sounds like to me, because you got up and took a couple steps, and it's a camper, it would make noise, and you would hear that outside, and that's probably, I'm guessing, what scared it off. And then it turned back to look. I don't know, maybe thinking that you're going to come outside or what. It most likely saw your silhouette in the window, even behind the blind. It could have seen your silhouette,
Yeah, because when I walk across the floor, even when I'm trying to be quiet, I'm not quiet walking across the floor. So, and in a camper, it's going to make noise. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you that's what scared it off. And you said this was in 2017? Yeah,
because it wasn't too, because the cat my friend had found and brought to me, she was still a kitten. She brought her to me, it was on July the 4th, and I'd had her maybe a month and a half, somewhere along there, how long I'd had her. And she had decided to tear up the blinds on two of the windows. And she had tore that one piece out of that one in the living room.